Hey guys, it's Marissa from 𝓤𝓮𝓮𝓴, and I'm coming in here on Sunday afternoon to take a peek at the week ahead. We've got February 7th through February 11th. So I'm going to do a Monday through Friday spread using my usual 5 positions where we take a look at Monday, sort of a week ahead, over setting the tone for the week. Tuesday, potential challenges or blocks. Wednesday, a midweek blessing. Thursday, how are you growing? And Friday, a weekly wrap up. And I will go ahead and pull a Divine Abundance Oracle card at the end. Now, if you want to stay tuned at the end of the video, I'm going to share a funny little story about why I chose the tarot deck that I'm using today, which is none other than the gorgeous Tarot of Curious Creatures by 𝓤𝓮𝓮𝓮𝓮. So let's jump right in. I went ahead like last week and shuffled the cards on camera, did it here in a time-lapse video, and we're going to go ahead and dive into the first card where we have the 4 of Swords coming up for Monday. And so that's sort of setting the tone for the week. Again, this is a collective reading. You can certainly take whatever resonates, leave the rest. That's how it works with the collective reading. And of course, the days are just sort of placeholders for the spread, but these energies could be showing up for you anytime throughout this next week ahead. But the 4 of Swords is really talking about this time period that a lot of people are feeling sort of a need to really go within, to rest, to reflect, to sort of set down some of the hustle and bustle that maybe has been going on, and taking some time to go within. But what I love in this adorable version here with the sloth is really taking a look at, when we have very busy lifestyles, when there's a lot going on, what are the things that maybe you've been busying yourself with, and whether that is work, whether it's hobbies, whether it's just numbing out and doing some mindless activity, really taking an opportunity to reflect on, what that might be insulating you from. Is there something else, another task, or some clutter clearing, whether physical, mental, emotional clutter clearing that you've maybe been avoiding, or something that we're putting off that might be showing up this week as a reminder that, we have an opportunity to kind of just take one of these things at a time. When we get ourselves into a state of overwhelm, then we can kind of shut down. But there could be some things coming up for you this week for re-examining that you have an opportunity to make some time for, slow things down, and focus one at a time. We'll see how that shapes up throughout the rest of the week. Tuesday, we have this King of Pentacles, and this is telling me that this is a potential challenge or block this week, that there could be something in the realm of finances. I kind of got a hit that some people might be working on their taxes right now, which, for most of us is not always a fun task, but perhaps one that kind of has money and finances front of mind, where we're really thinking about, we're having to look at, and again, this could tie back into our 4 of Swords, things we don't want to look at, how we're spending our money, where we are with our abundance, looking at those areas that we might want to make some tweaks or changes, or perhaps wanting to, I'm kind of getting with this grass under his feet, get a little nest egg going. But definitely it may be that you need to speak to a professional or have some communication, which could be challenged because, again, this is a potential block this week. Coming in with the Pentacles, it could have to do, again, with not just money, but your resources, safety, security, root chakra stuff. But it could be that a conversation is needed or some sort of clarity in communicating, again, whether that's with a partner or with a boss at work, or maybe even reaching out to customer service on some, financial matter or something where there's going to be some reaching out there. So again, not for everybody per se, but how that might show up for you in a number of different ways. It could also be sort of, maybe not feeling like you're where you want to be with your savings, and sort of really having to look at that. And we're saying that because we're coming from a perspective of challenge or block. It could also feel like, hey, yeah, I'd love to be saving money, but I just don't have, the luxury to put anything excess aside at this time. That's feeling like a challenge or a block for me. So in what way can we tune into that 4 of Swords energy that showed up for the week to kind of sit with each one of those items and look where we could cut away some things, make take some space, or maybe take a look at some things that we haven't been wanting to really get head on here that is coming up for you this week. So that could be something as well. Now on Wednesday, it's a midweek blessing, and we have the Knight of Swords. And so there's a couple of cards in this deck that have me feeling sort of like that slow down energy, but yet we have this one that's a much faster, quicker, definitive energy. You know, the swords are bringing in that logical, analytical mind, decision making, and cutting right through. She's so beautiful. I love these cards. The color is just fantastic. And so it looks like here, I kind of felt like too, this could be another person. So like if you are seeking out advice, if you're seeking out guidance, like we were talking about on the challenged block of the King of Pentacles, that there could be another person, a personality or energy of a situation around you where logic and clear-cut analysis could be helpful in making a decision. But the guidance then would be, once you know what decision you want to make it, to take action. There's always a little, warning there not to be too hasty, not to be too harsh, or abandon all sense of, heart-centered, intuitive energies. But there's definitely a nod here to using logical analysis, fact-based, looking at things, analyzing and making a decision, and then taking steps. So that's showing up as a midweek blessing, an opportunity for you to get some clarity on something that might be coming up for you in that arena. So for Thursday, we're talking about how am I growing? And we have the Six of Swords, which I love, the tortoise and the hare energy here. Again, it feels like this balancing between yin and yang, really, like the energies of, just sitting with something, slowly moving, receiving in the yin capacity, or the yang of the hare, taking action and movement, like we see with that Knight of Swords. So it does feel like Six of Swords, how are we growing? We're moving on. We're moving through, maybe, again, I mentioned last week kind of feeling like moving through jello. The Six of Swords talks about forward movement that comes through like tumultuous waters, through challenges, where again, it could be slow. It could be very slow moving. That can be very frustrating for a hare personality, right? For somebody who really just wants to be the Knight of Swords and just get out there and go and be done with it and cross it off the list. So I think we're being invited to sort of balance, find the balance there, strike a balance. And how you're growing is you're becoming more and more attuned to doing that, more adept at being able to say, okay, this is calling for action. This is calling for just being and going within and receiving. I kind of saw those six swords like pins that you put on a map, or pins that you put on a chart, of sort of charting out, where you're at, and maybe kind of looking at those different areas of your life and seeing kind of where you're at with each one and feeling into what is called for in each of those areas. Is it more of the energy of the hare or more of the energy of the tortoise? So that's an interesting sort of energy that's coming up here for this week, where it kind of feels like in some ways you're kind of slowing down and tuning into the energy of rest and retreat and receive. And in other ways, you're tuning into that energy of movement, decision, action. So it's all culminating here into Friday, where we have the Nine of Pentacles, which I was just talking about this card with my friends. So it's kind of funny that this is showing up, because I love this card. I love the energy of, she is just in her element here with her pentacles, which of course, again, like the King of Pentacles, representing all of your stability, your resources, your root chakra stuff. So that's, of course it's like the physical, tangible items in this 3D life we're living. We do need things like money. We do have to pay our taxes and do all the practical things, but we also have the material comforts of life, and those things that we enjoy. And it's interesting here again, how we see that the red, certainly the root chakra being very grounded, putting roots down, like again, whether that is about savings or, sort of shifting things around to get clear on, how you are divvying up your assets of all types, not just money, but all of the things in your garden. We see the snail again. So here we have, again, the snail is again calling to that slower moving energy. We have the tortoise, we have the snail, we have the sloth. There's definitely a deliberate nature to the energy coming up this week of really being contemplative. I think both the Nine of Pentacles and the Four of Swords are kind of cautioning or talking about that opportunity to sort of slow down and look at where you are, what you're planting, what you're bringing in, what's going out, kind of assessing all those things. Certainly that bird of prey that she's tamed here. We have this grizzly, and she has this bird of prey that she's tamed. And so that always kind of speaks to me as like either aspects of self, habits, old patterns, ways of being that you're bringing into balance, that you are bringing to heal, that you are taming, or external as well. So just things within you and around you in your life that you are working to kind of bring into balance and harmony. And it's definitely showing up as a fortuitous effort. This is feeling like this week doesn't feel overly crazy, not overly intense, not overly emotional. Really feels kind of like down to earth. Well, what a coincidence. I was drawn to pull the Crimson Root Chakra Spray. The color energy that I was drawn to bring in was red and purple. So I brought in the Crimson Root Chakra Energy Spray and the Lavender Soul Star Chakra Energy. So that's going to be for that base root chakra and then that highest out of body chakra, our soul star. So we're kind of, again, total body alignment, bringing things into balance, and really tuning into these deep, rich colors, the red, the purple. And I'm seeing that here in these cards as well, actually quite a bit, really jumping out. So it feels like the color energy is really significant as well. So you might want to tune into the channeled messages for those. I always have that in with the video resources. Amanda Ellis, of course, from Angelic Celestial Colors, makes these beautiful sprays, and her channeled messages, which often will tie in with these messages as well. Now, we also have the Oracle card that we're going to bring in here, which I pulled True Offering. And the mantra on the card is, the message says, true offering takes what can be an unbearable cross and returns it to love. So again, this feels like, I actually thought of something kind of really random, but when I was a kid and did the whole, Sunday school thing, and we used to take a collection that was called Pennies-A-Meal. And it was like we had those little cardboard boxes that we could put pennies in to collect, and then we would turn in those offerings. And I kind of got a hit on that here, where it's like those one little pennies added up to provide meals and food and sustenance for people in spades, so something as tiny as those little pennies, that little penny saved is a penny earned sort of energy of this idea that I'm kind of was just getting, again, those little seeds, those little investments that you're making now in yourself, these realignments that you're making, the steps that you're taking, however slow and deliberate and sometimes, painfully slow they can feel. And that can be like that unbearable cross, that feeling of, when and how and all the details. But it really, when we get to that place of true alignment, when we get to that place of really getting clear, again, that might be that Knight of Swords coming back in here with getting that clarity of like, what is this all for? What are my intentions I'm setting? And just tuning into those tiny little deposits, those tiny little energetic deposits into your bank account that you're making that are really going to pay off infinite dividends in many ways. Now, again, not just financial, whatever is resonating for you. You might be working on something for your own self-care, your own self-improvement. Perhaps you're trying to, eat healthier, get more movement, incorporate a new routine into your daily, weekly life. You might be trying to change jobs or make some other large change in your life that takes a million little deposits, a million little pennies-a-meal. Think of that, like putting the little pennies in, and they're all adding up to provide you beautiful, infinite returns. So that's what I was getting there. That's kind of cool. I like how these colors are all coming together this week, feeling very bold and powerful. And again, grounded, but also connected in with our upper chakras, our intellect and our awareness of thought, contemplation. So that's what we have for this week ahead coming up. And I'm just going to tell you my little story real quick. So one of my favorite decks, hands down, is the Light Seers. Again, another awesome deck by 𝓤𝓮𝓮𝓴. Most of my professional readings will include this deck among others. Really love that deck. And I, of course, don't even need to see what any new decks from 𝓤𝓮𝓮𝓴 look like. I just usually will pre-order them because I know that I'm going to love exploring them. So that was the case here with the Curious Creatures. It was one that I hadn't really picked up yet. So that's true even now. This is one of the first readings I've done with it. So good old Light Seers, I was using it. I was doing my 2022 year ahead readings, and I was in the middle of recording a reading and kind of had like a crazy series of things unfolding where I lost track of time. I was in the middle of the reading and I realized that I was 5 minutes late leaving to go pick up my daughter from school. And so I had to abruptly pause the reading, run down the street where I pick her up and get her and bring her home, and all was well. And you know, it was all okay. It was no big deal. It was only 5 minutes. But in all of my haste, my dog got very upset that I had left and ran up to look out of my picture window right where I do my readings. And in all of his upset, you know, he knocked over a glass of water all over the spread. And it got everywhere. When I got back and discovered it to resume the reading, I realized that my most precious decks, my favorites that I always use for all of my readings, were waterlogged. And it was so symbolic, as you can see here. The particular cards that just happened to be in the path that sustained the most damage were so telling, not only for the client whose reading I was doing, for myself personally, and then I found in the days and the weeks following were resonating with everyone that I was talking to. Like, there was really a message there in water spilling all over the Temperance and Two of Pentacles cards. Both of them having to do with time and balance. Certainly that keyword of balance and restoring balance, healing, bringing that into getting grounded. And what a coincidence, Nine of Pentacles was the other one. So this is what I was talking about with the Nine of Pentacles, that bird of prey, you know, taming aspects and things. For me, it kind of, you know, brought to my attention, bringing some balance into in what ways I was very comfortably in my comfort zone of, you know, even if it is just my favorite go-to deck or whatever it may be, we could see how there was an opportunity to look outside of the familiar and restore some balance and maybe bring in something new. So lots of other residual little messages came from that, and it was super cool. Good news is I saved my other two decks that got wet. Everything dried out, and I abruptly reordered my genuine Light Seers deck, made sure it was not a knockoff, that it wasn't original, got my new deck the very next day. But my challenge to myself is to step outside of my comfort zone and really start exploring some of these other decks and other things. So of course I have my favorite deck here at all times, but I'm also expanding and stepping outside of comfort zone. I know it sounds silly, but it's symbolic of the energy of how those little spiritual breadcrumbs happen. Messages come in, and it's like, water, emotion, you know, literally like cleansing and clearing and washing away. It was just, there was really cool symbolism. And I just wanted to share that with you to sort of encourage you to look at the ways that you may be stuck in some sort of patterns or, you know, habits or comfort zone that you are having an opportunity to step out of and restore some balance. So thank you for sticking with me. I always appreciate hearing how these readings may resonate for you. I would like to wish you a fantastic week. I am sending you much love and many blessings. Take good care.